Hello everybody, this is Briefcase bringing you another MLG North American League game. This time it is the second game of the best of two between Shadow Fiend Eats Cake as well as Team Dignitas. Of course, this is freakishly old, but nonetheless it is going to be some good practice for yours truly, and even then getting me back into the swing of things at least a little bit, because there was recently Canadian Thanksgiving in my neck of the woods, and of course that means bloated, too much food, and drinking a little bit too much wine pretty much every day this past weekend. So hopefully I can get back into the swing of things just a smidge and get in those nice casts and practice, of course. So Team Dignitas now has banned out Abaddon as well as OD. Of course, Abaddon now is just the child star, if you will, of the pro scene, especially when he is supporting. He is so strong with very little farm, and not only that, is a very resilient support as well with very, very spammable spells. And does not fall prey to a lot of the kind of support hunters that exist in games. Bounty Hunter can't outright kill him unless Janata happens to proc very, very, very nicely for him right when Abaddon is super, super low on health, not to mention his Janata has to do 400 plus damage. And Nyx Assassin can simply not burst him down unless he has a Dagon available at quite a high level, in fact. What level? I believe 3 Dagon, and which really just doesn't happen too often nowadays. So Team Dignitas has picked up that Nyx Assassin, like I mentioned, more likely than not because Abaddon is not in the pool. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake has banned out EO as well as Batrider, of course, two very, very strong heroes. EO, of course, changes exactly how the game is played, and Batrider is so terrifying to go up against with that flaming lasso of his, and just how strong he is at actually taking one entire hero out of almost every single fight with the cooldown on flaming lasso. Of course, OD is a very strong mid hero being banned out by Team Dignitas as well, and really just puts the kibosh on pretty much any of the popular intelligence mid heroes, as well as Invoker, at least to some extent. Of course, Exhort can mitigate that somewhat, but nonetheless. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake now has picked up a Naga Siren with their pick. Team Dignitas, though, has picked up a Nyx Assassin. And both of those, of course, it looks like both teams trying to get their supports out rather quickly. Team Dignitas has picked up a Visage as well, and now with Nyx Assassin as well as Visage, that is the makings of a very scary, aggressive tri-lane if they choose to do it. Not to mention two very strong and utilitarian heroes that, whilst being supports, can usually find the farm and the pickoffs they need to actually get some none too bad items. Something like a Medallion of Courage on Visage, providing that earlier Roche, and Nyx Assassin, of course, getting something maybe like a Drums. But overall, being able to just be all over the map and useful pretty much in every which way, those two heroes. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake has picked up a Weaver now of their own. Excuse me. Which, of course, will give them a nice amount of split push in his inherent sits there and never dies in a lane type of existence that he has. And he's just such a slippery hero, and without a lot of lockdown, he is almost impossible to kill. Of course, Nyx Assassin does have Impale at his disposal, Spike Carapace as well. If Weaver ever does get mana burnt down to the low numbers, he will have a very hard time actually living, especially about pre-11. That can be an issue for him. Visage as well does have 2 stuns, not that they are reliable with those familiars, and will need to be 6, and by then, more likely than not, Weaver will be able to get away. He, of course, is very, very squishy, however, and a level 4 Soul Assumption, even once Weaver is around level 70, if he's on par with Visage, maybe even a little bit over what Visage's level, a max level Soul Assumption with those souls will actually take him down to about half health pretty much every time, and is absolutely terrifying to be Weaver in those situations. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake now has banned out the Lifestealer, getting rid of all of your normal, like, very popular heroes. Of course, Lifestealer, one of the strongest and most popular carries nowadays, with that built-in Rage and life gain. But Team Dignitas has banned out Jakiro themselves, realizing that Shadow Fiend Eats Cake hasn't really picked their second support yet, and usually you do want to, and it seems like Team Dignitas trying to limit exactly who they can pick to maybe a support that does not have so much inherent HP. Of course, Jakiro's strength gain is obscenely high, making him very, very hard to burst down for someone like Nyx Assassin, for someone like Visage, where his Soul Assumption, although very strong, of course, will not one-shot or two-shot a Jakiro. So Team Dignitas may be going for a very bursty kind of play, picking up some very scary heroes and trying to dominate that early and mid-game. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake now has banned out a Prophet of their own. It looks like they do not want to let Team Dignitas have any way to deal with their split push that Weaver, of course, will provide. Naga Illusions using Riptide can provide a certain amount of split push as well. Overall, though, has not been seen too much since Naga has been played as a support rather recently. But Team Dignitas now has also banned out a Puck. It seems like, of course, Shadow Fiend Eats Cake has not picked up their mid yet. Nyx Assassin could be a mid if need be, but usually is run now in an aggressive or a defensive tri-lane very successfully, I might add. So Team Dignitas now just trying to really, really limit the pool of heroes that Shadow Fiend Eats Cake has at their disposal for, of course, those very critical roles that they have yet to fill. Of course, Weaver can go mid, has happened in the past. Overall, though, not seen too often in the pro scene. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake now does pick up a Windrunner, can be a very strong off lane as well as Weaver. So kind of a little bit of an odd pickup. Overall, can be a fairly strong support, can be run in a tri-lane. Not sure how effective it will be or could be. Interesting to see exactly how that will all go, however. And of course, with Jakiro no longer on the field, Darkseer possibly not really an option for Shadow Fiend Eats Cake, or at the very least, they have chosen not to go that route. Team Dignitas now has picked up a Clockwork. No amounts of guaranteed stuns now on this team. Most of them skill shots, or at the very least familiar stomps, which I mean can be a little bit of a skill shot when it comes right down to it. But Clockwork, of course, will give Team Dignitas even more initiation. Not that they are wanting that, really, for want of that at the moment. With Nyx Assassin's Vendetta, at least come level 6, they should be able to initiate on pretty much anybody they want. Not to mention Visage's familiars constantly scouting out, constantly going around. Grave Troll is a great way to engage as well, but of course Clockwork, the king of initiation, with that hookshot cogs battery assault combo, not to mention his rocket flare, giving him the vision that he needs to really land those long and extravagant hookshots. His abilities just synergize so well, especially when it comes to finding those solo kills and pickoffs. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake now has picked up a Chen. Could this be a carry Windrunner we see? They don't have a legitimate carry as of yet. Weaver might be run in some sort of farming tri-lane position, but Naga Siren as well as Windrunner can be very, very scary, especially if combined with a Weaver. So with Chen, however, he is going to be straight into the jungle, of course. Perhaps they're just giving Weaver or Windrunner a little bit more space to work with as with Naga Siren in a lane. Because Weaver or Windrunner can, of course, be in that long lane fairly safely. Weaver can have a little bit of an issue if they happen to get sentries. But overall, Windrunner is there. They don't have a good way to lock her down if she does get that Windwalk. So overall, Windrunner will be a fairly safe pickup in that off lane if that's the route that they want to go. Of course, Shadow Fiend Eats Cake has picked up the Chen, like I mentioned, and that should at least give them some early game and mid game, which at the moment they actually have, I mean, fairly well. Windrunner is very strong early game, is fairly strong for pretty much most of the game, really comes into her own in the mid game, and if she is farming effectively, can be very scary with an early sheepstick. Of course, Weaver, the longer the game goes, the stronger he will get, but so far Shadow Fiend Eats Cake does not have a late game answer. Neither does Team Dignitas, however. Nyx Assassin, of course, if he does snowball, can be a huge issue finding those single pickoffs pretty much all day, but now Team Dignitas has picked up a Dragon Knight of their own. and that is going to make things at least a little bit harder for Shadow Fiend Eats Cake Weaver. There are plenty of stuns on the field to deal with him at the moment. Windrunner as well, who, if you do not have stuns available and you're relying more on right clicks, Windrunner is, of course, the perfect hero to pick. But this team Dignitas, they have 4 stuns. Only one of them is a guaranteed clickable, one targetable stun. Of course, Visage's Familiars can be an issue. Clockwork's Cogs, as well as his hookshot, can be a bit difficult to land, but Nyx Assassin's Impale is fairly reliable as well. So overall, Team Dignitas having a lot of stuns at their disposal. Now Shadow Fiend Eats Cake not wanting to give them even more, and with that Mirana arrow, not to mention the amazing ability for Mirana's ult to give up initiations. That can just be so scary for this sort of lineup that Team Dignitas has with all of its stuns as well as disables available. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake is going to need to be just the king of positioning this entire game. And now Team Dignitas, realizing that Shadow Fiend Eats Cake does not have a very strong, or at least mainstream mid at their disposal, does ban out to Shadow Fiend. Dragon Knight might be going in that mid role, however Clockwork can go it in a pinch as well, harassing down with those rockets, and not to mention pretty much anybody who does go mid, they might have the added bonus for Team Dignitas, of course, to have that Clockwork helping push in that lane, helping harass that mid down with his rockets. Shadow Fiend Eats Cake now has picked up an Alchemist though, and that will provide them a fairly nice carry. Of course, very, very strong at farming, and there is their late game build right there. Team Dignitas, however, has picked up a Rikimaru now of their own, and the first time I have ever actually seen that in competitive play, so very, very interesting. Interested to see exactly how that will pan out. Of course, Rikimaru very good at actually dealing with Weaver. If you can get the jump on him, that smoke can just be the end of Weaver, especially if accompanied by a stun. Once he hits 6, Chen has to be incredibly fearful. Nagasiren as well. Nagasiren, of course, does have a huge amount of base armor with that 6, which will give him quite a bit of protection against Ricky, but overall can be very, very scary to go up against. Not to mention Windrunner cannot windrun under smoke as well, but it does indeed look like Windrunner is going mid. And let's get into who is playing who. We have Nodamon as the Nagasiren. Knave as well is playing the Alchemist. Moshi is playing Chen. You have Relic, of course, on Shadow Fiend Eats Cake going mid with the Windrunner. And Brix is going to be going off lane, it looks like, as the Weaver. Looks like a solo, possibly a solo Weaver against a solo Riki. And of course, getting that very, very early level 6 on the Riki could be very, very scary for this Dire team. But we have K playing as Riki. We have PPD as the Visage. Fogged is going to be going as the Dragon Knight. 1437 as the Nyx Assassin with every spike available on his carapace. And Infinity123 is going to be playing the Clockwork. Looks like an off-lane solo top, but possibly now PPD is going to be going down bot with this Riki, just protecting him a little bit. Of course, Brix can harass him down fairly well early. Both of these very squishy agility heroes. And with K having just slightly, ever so slightly more base attack damage. But in these lanes, if we look now, DK might have a fairly hard time against Relic. Flame Breath will provide a good amount of harass, however, the more he uses it. And Clockwork is going to need to be so careful up here. Of course, has actually gotten an early Riptide just to harass down, and now Cog just in range of the tower. A perfect Cog. Nodamon now completely caught out. He does not have anything, and that's an easy early first blood for Infinity, and that is not at all what you want to have happen. Great mind, though, to really throw out those Cogs early, and that's going to make life so easy for Clockwork. It's like PPD is trying to harass Brix down. Very difficult to do, however, on a Weaver. Fogged is doing fine. Of course, he has gotten that Dragon Blood, which will make his sustain in the lane much better than Relics when it comes right down to it. But of course, you have your ranged hero against your melee hero. It can be very difficult, but he has a bottle already now. And it looks like they're going pretty toe-to-toe on this lane. And now it looks like Infinity has picked up his Battery Assault level 1. He is going for the solo kill on Knave. Is there an ensnare available? There is not. And now Knave just keeps getting canceled, and now that's 2 kills already for this off-lane solo Clockwork. And that is not at all what you want to have happen. It looks like Brix is doing fine, just fine bot. However, he is not getting the farm that he needs. Ricky with already 6 times as much farm. Very easy to say that when it's only last hits. And of course, getting those last hits as Ricky with that backstab is surprisingly easy. Already with only level 1, he's doing about 80 damage a hit, and that can make last hitting as Ricky fairly easy. And it looks like the rest of this tri-lane doing their job very effectively. 1437 as well as PPD. PPD now is pulling this lane. It looks like they are going to through pull it. And it looks like 1437 was pretty much just trying to keep Brix out of EXP range as much as possible. And of course, Ricky is already level 3. Brix is solo and is only level 2. That is not at all what you want to see happen. Looks like Fogged is doing his best, is bottle crowing his little heart out. Relic has a bottle of his own. No runes out, however, and Infinity just is being completely uncontested top. They do have Ensnare as well as Unstable Concoction available to go in for those kills, but Notamon is not even level 2 yet. He is just not finding his experience, and Infinity can play so ballsy right now. Has 700 HP, almost 800. An early points into Battery Assault is actually very scary and is a great way to get solo kills. Not sure how much damage it exactly does with every single one of them hitting a single target. It looks like you get, for every 1.5 seconds, you're getting about 100 damage or so. It is magical, however, so of course it will be reduced down slightly. Fog just trying to evade those power shots as best he can and doing a fairly good job of it. Is now actually losing mid to Relic. You cannot, it is very hard to actually contest. Getting a nice shackle on Fog, however, there is no follow-up. Realizing the tower is going to start targeting him, and it looks like Brix might just be leaving the bottom lane, realizing he can't contest this. With Ricky having Smokescreen available, not to mention 1437 being there. Oh, it looks like I did indeed miss a little bit of an overextension by Clockwork. Was just trying to contest this pull camp and did not see Chen coming. I suppose he must have, but now it looks like Brix has indeed given up on the bot lane. He's going to be going into the jungle, trying to farm as best he can, and that is not where you want your Weaver, of course. Dragon Knight, he is going into Relic. He has level 3 of Breath of Fire. That is going to be a lot of damage, and he's looking to get this Dragon Tail and just have hopefully enough mana. Hopefully with this magic stick he will indeed get enough mana. It looks like he's just waiting very patiently, seeing if Visage and 1437 can't rotate in, getting the stun off. Where is it? There it is. 1437 is here. There is going to be enough. Soul Assumption wasn't even necessary, but was used, of course, just in case. And it looks like this Ricky is having the time of his life, farming all day long, putting as much gold into that pocket of his as humanly possible, and is now level 6. Brix realizing that farming in the jungle as a Weaver is simply not gonna cut it for him, and happens to return bot. He does pick up his Boots of Speed, however, making life a little bit easy for him, but Ricky, of course, with that smoke, should be doing fine, just fine, and Clockwork picks up another solo kill against Alchemist. Infinity is just playing magnificently right here, and I mean, Shadow Fiend Eats Cake just seems to not be able to deal with this Clockwork at all. Looks like he did pop his ult there, more likely than not has popped his Battery Assault as well as his Cogs to guarantee that kill as well. But Knave now having a terrible time, not even level 6 yet, and with all of these Clockwork kills, he is just out-leveling him by far, and that is not at all what you want to see happen. Infinity, of course, now might pop Battery Assault, does catch him in the Cogs, and of course Battery Assault doing so much damage right now, 75 damage a hit. He needs to be staying right on top of him. He is indeed. Misguesses exactly where he's gonna go. He does have Cogs available. He's just waiting to get this hook shot available as well now, and he's just chasing him and trying to get those kills. It now looks like Brix has rotated top to try and help this along. Notamon is gonna throw out that ensnare on him. Infinity, though, does get stunned as well, but in runs Fog to save the day, getting a good stun on Bricks. He doesn't even have enough Sakuchi away. They have hook shot. Fog is definitely getting in the way, however, and now a nice hook shot by Infinity. Gonna guarantee that kill as well, and now we are at 6-1 already, 6 minutes in, and that is not what you want to see if you are Shadow Fiend Eats Cake. Moshi does have a couple of centaurs, however, very, very strong this early in the game, of course, with those. That's a 4-second stun he might be able to set up with an unstable concoction if everything goes his way. He has picked up a smoke. Interesting to see if he's going to use it. And now Relic is being slightly too low for my taste, especially with this Riki available. If he can get one thing, there it isn't. There's going to be no Windwalk away from that one. And K as well as Fog. The two heroes you do not want to let get farmed this entire game are just picking up every little pickoff they possibly can. And now with this level 6 Riki, he has 4 points into backstab. He's doing 150. Can he 4-shot this Chen? He would have been able to, I think so. But now I think this Riki is just going to snowball completely out of control. Fogged is actually not that farmed. He's only got 34 last hits. He does have a few kills under his belt, however. Just one. But Infinity with 5 of his own. He is just doing magnificently. Has a bottle, has a magic stick, has arcanes. And now Knave has to be so careful going around here. And now thrown out that nice rocket, just trying to harass Relic a bit. And now a Fog missing down, however, still doing lots of damage to Relic. Relic being caught within the trees isn't going to be enough. Fogged, is he going to make it out? He is indeed. And K picking up another kill on that Chen. And that is not what you want to see. Is at 4,000. Clockwork picking up another solo kill on Knave. While that's all happening, so sorry I missed it. Now it looks like PPD is harassing Bricks down as best he can with the top now 3 spots in net worth. Going to Team Dignitas. And Riki is just running around, just stalking everybody he possibly can. He does so much damage already with this backstab, 1.75 or 1.25 damage per agility. He's sitting at a pretty 74. So he's got basically a double damage rune all the time if he can hit you in the back there. And that is absolutely terrifying to go up against. Infinity has been able to find a small amount of farm, still though does not have as much gold as his brethren. Not the end of the world though, and that's gonna be an early middle tower as well. Pre-10 minutes, I suppose not incredibly early. And now a nice shackle landed, especially with that tower constantly attacking. He does get stunned. Unstable Concoction should still be able to get tossed. Fogged most likely will fall here. Don't know how he's getting out of this one, but will it be all for naught? Almost a perfect shackle there, however, it did not latch. And now you also have Clockwork here. He has hookshot available. Bricks is here. He is just enough for Sakuchi. Not anymore, not with that Cogs, and that's going to be an easy kill for K. A shackle going on him, though, and with that invisibility, they do not have a sentry down, though. Knave will now fall as well. There's no way getting out of this one. Can Infinity live this through? He is bottling up. He has 8 charges still on his wand, and Relic now is in a precarious position. They do not want this to happen, and now that is a team wipe already. We are looking at 16-3, 1 tower down. This might even be a second if they decide to push it, and now everything going in favor of Team Dignitas. There's the GG already, 10 minutes in, realizing that this Riki already has a Blade of Electricity. He's already very close to a Diffusal Blade, and he's only gonna get more. He's only gonna get bigger. He's only gonna snowball. And they're the quickest game I have ever seen in competitive Dota. Thanks everybody for watching. This has been Briefcase, bringing you a very old MLG game. And hopefully I'll be bringing you more later tonight.